Oh, the weather's so beautiful. It should be a wonderful day. But it isn't. It was in the paper this morning. A wonderful person died a couple of days ago. She was very dear to me, even though I never actually met her. The paper said that she was 101, though she could have been a lot older. Lady Austin was like that, an enigma shrouded in mystery, very much like the books that she wrote. Abigail Austin. When it came to mysteries, she was very simply the best. Her books will live on long after mine are gone and forgotten. You know, the obituary reminded me of something that I'd forgotten. Years ago, she was involved in a real-life mystery. Oh, yes. As you know, that's something that I'm familiar with. But for Lady Abigail, I think it was, well, a somewhat disconcerting situation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 5 of the Cabot Cove Confab.
No. This is the Christy, McGinn Confab podcast, right?
Yes, that's right.
This has nothing to do with Murder, She Wrote.
This is the Christy, McGinn and Lord Abigail Austin Confab podcast. Yes,
Lady, not Lord.
Oh, sorry, lady. Yeah, sorry.
Not unless you know something I'm not aware of.
By the way, I do have to say something. What they would say on My Favorite Murder is Corrections Corner. I made a huge mistake last episode. There's 2 mistakes I made. First of all, I said, hello everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Colombo Confab podcast, and didn't even catch myself. And then my other mistake was saying that, now our episodes are going to drop on Wednesday. And then I was like, okay, I'll do it Tuesday night. Well, I ended up traveling to buttfuck Texas for work, and then I had to go entertain some old people in San Antonio, so that all went to hell. So I wasn't able to edit the episode until today, which is Sunday. And so we're just going to release episodes on Monday morning. Monday morning... Or not Monday, but like 12 o'clock Monday morning. Or Sunday night, depending on how you look at that. So, yes. Welcome to episode 5.
We're reviewing tonight the Grand Old Lady.
Yeah.
Which is season 6, episode 3.
Okay, yes.
And I've learned that Robert Vaughn apparently will not do a TV program unless in the contract... It's on a cruise ship.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Before we get to the episode itself, I have to do some establishing expedition stuff. Some trivia about this because
big words. Get them out of the way now because later tonight you will not be doing big words. Okay, go.
So in 1975, Levinson and Link worked on a show called Ellery Queen. Now, Ellery Queen is based on a series of ingenious fucking books that are totally underrated and more people should read them. They wrote a book called the Roman Coffin Mystery that blew me out of the water, and I've read every Agatha Christie book. If you want to read something really cool and you're into cozy mysteries, Ellery Queen is the way to go. And so they made a series of it in 1975. They had like 20-something episodes. And Ellery Queen is about, there's Ellery Queen, and his dad, Inspector Queen, goes and goes on crime scenes, and Ellery always tags along, and inevitably, Ellery will solve the case, okay? Does this sound familiar? Because this is...
So far?
Yeah. It turns out they had this script lying around from 1975... about a murder on the Queen Mary that Ellery Queen solves with his dad, and wait, let's put it in Murder, She Wrote. All right, now, what the hell is this episode doing in Murder, She Wrote? Because except for an opening and closing, there's no Jessica Fletcher in this story. There's none. And I researched this. I actually did research, okay? So this is going to sound familiar. Angela Lansbury was getting very fucking tired because she's like 60 years old by now. And I'm 46, and I get tired all the fucking time. And she, and she was like, look, you know, I'm a professional, but guys, the filming schedule is really out of control here. You got to lighten up a little bit. You know, I think, but I'm not sure, that she may have been a little bit of a diva, and that's not unusual. I mean, I've come to learn that Peter Falk was kind of a diva. Like, he would walk off set if he was pissed at somebody. And this happens when you're the star of a TV show that...
Like Tom Baker.
Tom Baker, yeah. Diva. This will happen to you when you're the star of a show that millions and millions of people watch. Okay? So they decided that they were going to take scripts, including like this one, and they also they had a script for a pilot for a TV show starring Jerry Orbach. Remember him? He's in Law and Order. That eventually was spun into an actual TV show, which failed, starring Jerry Orbach. And so there are 6 episodes in season 5 that do not feature Jessica Fletcher solving the mystery, and this is one of them. Okay. Now, when I remember I was watching, I can't remember where I was. I think this used to be on Netflix or Amazon Prime, and I would watch them. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch this one, and it would be like, it was like this, and I'd be like, what the? I don't want to watch this. No, this isn't Murder, She Wrote. This is your standard 1980s, you know, crime procedural, procedure. Yeah. You know, no. I didn't watch this one. It was some other one. Well, the fans in 1989, after watching season 6, I said 6 episodes in season 5, but it was 6 episodes in season 6. I misspoke. The fans were like, "No, we don't like this," and the ratings dropped. So Angela Lansbury, I don't know if she asked for a raise, but she went right back to filming those, and she, of course, went on for 6 more seasons. So God bless you, Angela Lansbury. You're 96 years old, and you know, really toughed it out to finish up Murder, She Wrote, and, you know, provide more. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very unusual because it does, like you said, does not star Jessica or J.B. Fletcher in this. Mm-hmm. This is a totally independent episode. We should say that Jessica does make an appearance, in the first couple of minutes of the episode to kind of transition you. She's talking about she's been reading the obituary, which, what's the deal? Old people read the obituary. I never understood that. That's just something I never had interest in. And I remember talking to my grandparents, like, why do you read this? And basically the impression I got, or the explanation I got, was, I just want to see who else I beat out in life from living.
Well, you know what I do? We have a Texas Lawyers Monthly magazine that comes out, and their obituaries are in the back, and I always go back and look at them. The obituaries and the reprimands, because you can get reprimanded as a lawyer, and I see more names that I recognize in the reprimands, but yeah. 2 people in my law class have died. Very sad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what's the purpose of going to high school reunions? To see who's gotten fat and bald. I'm speaking for guys here. Obviously. But I've never gone to any of my high school reunions. I really don't care to see those people again.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I kind of would be interested, but I don't feel like flying to Chicago and, you know, the hotel room, and it's just a hassle. Guys, sorry.
But Jessica, she's in a garden. Obviously, it's not the garden in her Cabot Cove home, which we just saw from last episode, where she's, what was it, Mirror.
Yeah.
Her garden looks so different than what we see here. This looks more, I want to say, more of a maybe European garden.
Yeah. There's this English garden show that Tom always watched.
English garden.
Yeah, an English gardener and Hello and welcome. We're going to talk about periwinkles this episode. We're also going to talk to Diane Easterbrook about how she raises her coxcombs.
Is that a thing? Okay. But yeah, so she's talking about Lady Abigail Austin. She died at 101, maybe older. But this story, she's never met Abigail. Mm-hmm. This is just somebody that Jessica's looked up to, I guess, in her career. But this particular story takes place in 1947, a couple of years after the end of World War II, aboard the Queen Mary. They're about a day out from New York City, and there's a murder that takes place.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, we'll get to that. So, did you? I know that last episode you said you were sick of hearing about Columbo, but there are Columbo things all over this one. First of all, it was directed by Vincent McGivity, who directed a lot of Columbo. It was written by Peter S. Fisher, who wrote the last episode we talked about, also wrote a lot of Columbo. Yeah. It has a Columbo murderer and victim in it. It's Robert Vaughn. And it also has a Columbo victim in it. Did you see it? Do you know who it is?
No.
Okay, we'll get there. So, all right. So let's talk about the Grand Old Lady, which, by the way, is a nickname for the Queen Mary, but it's a double meaning between the Queen Mary and the Grand Old Lady herself, Lady Abigail Austin. By the way, if you are going to address somebody with a title like that, at one point Robert Vaughn calls her Lady Austin. No, sir, it's Lady Abigail. I know. Wait, maybe I'm wrong. I think it was right, Lady, because we've been watching a lot of Downton Abbey lately. So so we're on this ship, and there's a guy, and he's very disheveled. He's running from something, so he stops and talks.
But by the way, I think it's interesting. So this takes place in 1947. Yeah, and we see a mysterious man, Daniken, running down the corridors of this cruise ship. And I like that we have the very modern exit signs.
Yes!
I'm surprised that they didn't take those out or hide them.
Oh, there was
put something over them.
There was a scene where in the back, the extras, you could see this man was wearing a pair of glasses that were obviously from 1989. No, those are 1947. Those are not 1947 glasses. But yeah, and it's a shame because this does look really great. I mean, this is a great looking episode. Oh, yeah. They did, with the bar and all. It's great. I don't think they didn't film it on the Queen Mary, but so he goes to the purser named Mr. Bellows, played by a fellow named Audrey. Oh fuck! I should have written it down. Aubrey something, and he was also in one episode of Columbo, and he was in A Clockwork Orange. I've brought him up before in the other podcast. He was he was in Ashes to Ashes. He played the.
Did you mention another podcast? I got to take a drink.
Yeah, okay, take a drink.
Go ahead.
So Mr. Bellows sends the telegram out, or telegraph. A telegram is like a paper message that's delivered. A telegraph is done over
right.
Beep 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 beep.
But we noticed that Daniken has a severe cut on his forehead. But yeah, he's looking to get a message out before whatever. Something bad is about to go.
Yeah, it's like he's a character in Dead by Daylight, and he's running to fix a generator. I shouldn't have brought that up, but there's like two people listening who know what I'm talking about.
No.
So Robert Vaughn, who plays a guy named Mr. Chancellor.
No, it's Edwin Chancellor.
Yeah. Edwin Chancellor. I couldn't read.
Who I think is a radio personality.
Yes.
Right? That's... And I suspect from the way he talks, it's kind of a murder mystery radio program.
Yeah, he's having drinks with Lady Austin. He's trying to talk her into doing a script for his program. And I'm going to tell you, Steve, this guy, Robert Vaughn in this, the monkey primate part of my brain was screaming "murderer, murderer, murderer" every time he did something.
Oh yeah,
and
every time the camera would linger on him, he would give a suspicious look.
Oh
yeah, the episode was trying to set him up as the obvious killer.
And anybody who has seen his episode of Columbo, Troubled Waters, he is fucking reprising his role in this because he does a lot of sneaking around, looking suspicious, and to the point where I actually kind of thought he might be the murderer. At the very end, I thought, wait a minute, it's him. Yeah. It's him. Well, we'll get there.
You would think it would be, but the show is obviously trying to mislead you.
Yeah.
But, he's having drinks with Abigail Mitchell. I mean, Abigail Austin. I'm sorry.
Oh.
She's not played by Ruth Gordon. But I kept thinking, Abigail Mitchell. For some reason, that name just kind of flows out perfectly. But, we find Daddykin, maybe, we don't know. He barges into the room where they're having drinks. He screams like "Captain, Captain" with a K,
and then he dies.
He's been he's been stabbed to death.
Right, and then, this will be fun. Now they're going to have to solve the murder out at sea, and Lady Austin will do it, and she'll be aided by Robert Vaughn. I'm not even going to call him Chancellor. I'm just going to call him Robert Vaughn. I can't.
Robert Vaughn. Okay,
yeah, Robert Vaughn.
So we transition from the boat to New York City.
New York City!
Oh my god.
And we're introduced to a fellow named Christy McGinn.
McGinn, yeah.
Yeah, if you're a boy, I guess in 1947, it would be normal for you to be named Christy. I don't know if this is a salute to Agatha Christie or what, but did you recognize...
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, and he does crossword puzzles for... the New York
New York Daily Examiner.
Yes. Oh my God. Gunther from Friends died. Huh. Okay. Sorry. The New York Daily Examiner, but he's a lousy reporter, but he's also a crack amateur sleuth. Now, did you recognize this guy?
No.
Okay. Let me give you a hint. Rip Torn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was the nephew that won the lottery.
Yeah, and that Rip Torn drowned in the bathtub. Poor nephew Freddie. He was a real hell of a guy, I'll tell you. Yeah.
It was a photographer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had a chimpanzee as a pet. And he was poor. I don't know how.
No. That was his his neighbor had a chimpanzee.
Oh, that's right.
Why you would have a chimpanzee as a pet is beyond me.
Yeah,
but
don't have a.
I'm thinking flinging shit everywhere. but Christy wants to become a reporter. Like that's his goal. So he goes to J. Jonah Jameson and asks for a writing gig, and he's like, "No, you suck." But we find out, hot off the presses, that there's been a death on the Queen Mary, and Christy's father is a lieutenant on the police force who's been assigned to the murder case.
Yeah, and this guy,
so of course,
Lieutenant McGinn is he's like he just looks like a cop all over. He's kind of heavy set. He's got the mustache. I'm not taking any nonsense.
I think he's perfectly cast for this, be quite honest.
Yeah.
I thought...
Yeah, he does.
I don't know who the actor is, but I thought he was great as a kind of a gumshoe from New York.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so there's a variety of characters in this. And, this is an episode that probably we could take... Well, this is true of every episode that we record. And by the way, they're getting longer and longer. Each episode we do has gotten longer. From 1 minute and 5 seconds to 1 minute. Jesus, Sean. 1 hour and 5 minutes to I think the last one was 2 hours and 17 minutes or something like that. But
really?
Yeah.
Well, we did 2 episodes in a row for that one.
Yeah, that's true. But there's this guy His name is... Okay, so the boat is docked at New York, and obviously since there's been a murder, they're not going to let anybody off of the boat. The police are allowed on, of course, as well as
Christy.
As well as Lieutenant Christy, because it's based on an Ellery Queen story, and that's what Ellery Queen does in the stories. He always tags along with his father, and everybody sort of knows him because he solves like every other case for the police. There's a guy named Arthur Bishop. And he's a fashion designer, and he's basically a Karen. And he is insisting on getting off the boat.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
he's got important information in his briefcase. He's got to get off the boat. He's an asshole. He's a Karen. Like
he is a Karen. I'm sure he refused to wear a mask. There's definitely no social distancing on this boat, by the way.
Well, let me remind you, it takes place in 1947. I don't think that was a problem. Probably the closest thing was the Spanish flu. When did that happen?
Did you know that more people have died of COVID than the Spanish flu now? It's that bad.
No.
Yeah. Or maybe it's more people in America have died of COVID than the Spanish flu. Well, I can tell you why. Anyway, don't get me started.
Okay, but let's talk about some of the other characters. So we've got Lieutenant Dan. No, I'm sorry. Lieutenant Dan? That's
Lieutenant Dan, ice cream.
That's my only Forrest Gump joke for the night. But so Major Dan, he's he's in the Army. We also have Eleanor. She's a nurse in the Army.
Mm-hmm. We found out
later. We also have the who are the Viscards? The Henry Viscard. He's wheelchair enabled.
Mm-hmm.
That's not right. That sounds
right. Wheelchair enabled is actually a really good term. Wheelchair enabled.
Okay.
Not disabled. He's an old man, and he's in a wheelchair, and he and his son
in a very comfy wicker wheelchair. I like the wheelchairs from the 40s than I do than we see today. Because they look more like you're in a wicker chair. I would rather be in that.
Yeah, like Miss Withers in Murder by Death.
Yes. It's same wheelchair in Murder by Death. And then he has his son Paul, who looks very suspicious, as a matter of fact. And
very handsome.
I will point this out. He's my prime suspects are going to be during this episode. Are going to be Major Dan and Paul.
Okay.
Paul Viscard. Those are my two primary suspects, and I think you will see that as time will tell. I'm drunk already, but as time progresses, that I am halfway right.
Okay. Yeah.
One of these two men is the killer.
Well, you know what? I don't want to brag, Steve. That did not occur to me. I was still kind of leaning towards Robert Vaughn. I was like, okay. And Nicholas Crane.
I would have leaned towards Robert Vaughn if the show did not. Because there's that misdirection. The show is going to give you a misdirection. He was so obviously the misdirection to me. So, yes, he's very suspicious, but no.
I couldn't help it. I kept thinking that. I mean, I also thought it may possibly be one of the crew members. And then there's Nicholas Crane, this guy who was playing chess with the murder victim.
He was a late board. Yeah, kind of like on the episode with the airplane. What was it?
Corpse flew first.
Corpse flew. Yeah. Kind of like who was the last person to the board? We kind of played that one again, but so Christy finds out about Abigail being on the boat, and I guess he's a big fan of hers. But he finds out that she's on board, so he's got to go see her. He's got to meet her. Mm-hmm. It's like, I get the impression he's probably her biggest fan.
Yeah. And it turns out she's his biggest fan, too. So they immediately form an alliance, and they're going to solve the murder.
Right.
So
yeah, he's done, like you said, I guess this script is based off of a series where the son solves murders, but he's actually known for solving a case with his father. And we're talking the lore of this episode, solving an episode where he finds a Winnebago car salesman murder or something like that.
I don't know if it was Winnebago.
What was it?
When you say Winnebago, I can't help but think of those YouTube videos. God damn these flies! The Winnebago Man. Did you ever see those? Where he's trying to film a commercial for, I saw these. Well, he's like, this Winnebago Model XV2 is so comfortable that, God damn it, would you put down the cards? Like, there's like 10 minutes of this guy trying to film this Winnebago commercial, and he just keeps fucking up and yelling. And there's one part where I just like, God damn these flies! And somebody went out, tracked this guy down, and made a documentary about him. And this guy had no idea that he was basically like a celebrity online. He's just this grumpy old man. Anyway, check that out. Look for Winnebago Man on YouTube. You have a few chuckles. If you like old men swearing, and he's not really that old. He's probably in his 60s. But yeah, check that out. So sorry. Yeah, so let's solve a murder. Now,
thanks for totally derailing the podcast.
Yeah, like this hasn't happened before. By the way, I do want to mention one thing. We have done 6 episodes of this, and every episode, it's a different method of murder. We've had a hanging, we've had a hit and run, we've had a shooting, we've had a stabbing, we've had a bludgeoning, and we've had a poisoning. And I'm actually keeping stats of this, of how many female murderers we've had, male murderers, and female and male victims.
You bring this up every episode, by the way.
I do?
I think we don't, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say that I just think it's interesting that we've had a different method of murder every time. Because when you watch other shows that may be similar to this, usually it's a shooting, because that's what they're doing. So anyway, I'm sorry, I still can't help it with Robert. Robert Vaughn was just so suspicious. So what Robert Vaughn does, nobody in this story locks their what they call their staterooms. Okay? Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I have to go back. And I really should have gone back and written this down. But Lady Austin gets a copy of the telegraph that Dranigan sent out before he was killed. And it's something about a chess match between Van Sant and some other guy.
Yeah, meeting somebody in Hamburg, or I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And feeling under the weather, and it's this guy you remember beat him in seven.
Well, we get to that later because Nicholas Crane, the chess guy, that guy who likes to play chess, he doesn't give it away, but he helps Christy to solve the murder. But
yeah, and
I was really confused. She has this harebrained theory that Dranigan was actually one of these chess players in disguise. Her theories are really she's really not really good at solving crimes. She's a great writer, but she's not good at solving crimes. Whereas Christy is the exact opposite. He's great at solving crimes, but he's a lousy writer. Oh, I just thought of that. Yeah.
That is really clever. No, I hadn't thought of that either.
Yeah.
Huh. So they make the perfect duo because they do decide they're going to team up and solve this. But I'll be honest. I think Christy could probably figure this out on his own.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But we're also introduced to a new character, Agent. What's his name?
Lanahan.
And he has been assigned to the case because apparently during World War II there was a plot to counterfeit American dollars or $5 bills to kind of disrupt the finance in this country. But those plates went missing, or at least one half of those plates.
I don't know. I don't know about that plan to somehow mess up the financial market here. It sounds like a James Bond villain plan or something, like flood Silicon Valley, so that all the industry is destroyed, and then Christopher Walken will rule the world. I don't know, or steal all the gold from Fort Knox, and then I don't know. But that's what it's. This is what
that's Goldfinger.
Yeah, that's Goldfinger. This is what they call the gold, the $5 plate print, whatever you want to call it. The plate is the MacGuffin of the story. It's just the thing that sort of drives the plot forward. You can't really think about it like.
And if you're looking for plots on like James Bond stuff, though, I think Steven Shapansky had a podcast, right, where he did reviews with Josh. What was the name of that podcast?
Shaken Not Stirred.
They reviewed
Shaken Not Stirred.
Shaken Not. They reviewed all the James Bond episodes.
No, they didn't review.
Listen to that.
They did commentaries for every James Bond episode.
They did commentaries. So Shapansky and Josh both very knowledgeable on James Bond. Listen to their podcasts. Are they still around?
Yeah, I'm sure you could find it if you look up. I think Eric published that as part of his what was it called? Prognosis Negative. That's what he called his movie podcast. Do you know where that's from? Prognosis Negative. There was an episode of Seinfeld where they're going to go to the movies. And like George comes into Jerry's apartment, he's like, "Okay, are y'all ready to see Prognosis Negative?" And so that's where Eric got the name of the podcast, which I think is pretty ingenious. But yeah. But I was on that podcast a couple times. All right.
Oh, hold on.
So
wasn't expecting to cause that, but go on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Lanahan reveals that Darnigan is actually a member of the Nazi or the German Gestapo. Okay, and his real name is Otto Kreutzmann. Okay, Otto Kreutzmann. Yeah, Kreutzmann. But they're keeping this kind of secret. They don't want anybody to know that there's basically a Nazi on board the ship. And meanwhile, what Robert Vaughn does is like he's going to be his own detective. So he's going to go into some guy's suite and look through his underwear drawer and all that.
Yeah, it goes through Nick. And I like that. If you're going to sneak around into somebody's room, by the way, he sneaks into Nicholas Crane's cabin.
Yeah, I don't know
he's
why.
Like shuffling around that top drawer. I'm like, put it back the way you found it. Like he just messed it all up. But
I know it's like watching your dad's porn and not rewinding it back to the part where it was.
What? Oh. That's weird.
You ever watch? You ever find your dad? No, wait, hold on. No, that's when you find your dad's VHS porn stash, and
never had that.
No, I thought this was part of growing up. Okay, maybe I'll just shelve that.
I did find his Playboy collection, but maybe that's similar. But
no,
what happened to all those magazines? It's probably worth a lot of money now. So he goes into Nicholas Crane's cabin, which I guess the door's unlocked.
Yeah, everybody leaves their doors
on this
unlocked.
cruise, or back in the 40s, everybody leaves their rooms open.
Yeah.
Like, you got a lock? Well, why? Why lock the place?
Come on in. I just got my underwear.
Because Robert Vaughn doesn't lock his door, we find out later. Nobody locks their door.
But this is the weird thing. I don't know what he's looking for, or why he wants to go into Nicholas Crane's room. But this is what he finds.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He apparently Nicholas Crane works for Cutco because he travels around with a set of knives that look very, very menacing. And since he has this knife, I just don't understand this. Like, Robert Vaughn's looking, he finds this box, and at first I thought, oh, that's going to be the $5 plate. No, there's a menacing knife and fork in there. And then Nicholas Crane walks in the room and is like, Robert Vaughn, what are you doing here? And Robert Vaughn holds up the knife like, oh, is this the murder weapon? By the way, none of this is explained later on. But, oh no, I'm sorry.
Why does he have that?
Yeah, why does he have a knife in his room? Why does he travel with his own steak knife and barbecue fork? Because that's how you do, I guess, in 1947. I don't know. It's not explained. But,
you're on a cruise in the middle of the night. It's 2 a.m. You start craving carved ham, as you would, or a turkey
all the fucking time.
And you're like, man, I can't eat my turkey without carving it up.
Yeah,
or can't carve up a ham.
Man, do you remember? Did you guys have the Old Country Buffet down here?
No.
Okay. We had in Chicago this thing called the Old Country Buffet. I fucking hated it. because it was just a lot of. It was like the way
like Golden Corral.
Yes. Okay. So you've got all this food.
Corral's so nasty.
You've got all this food that's been sitting out for God knows how long. I mean, if the lady came out with the pan of fresh mashed potatoes, I'll go and take that. But I don't know how long this corn's been here. There's water in the chicken. But the bonus was at the end of it. At the end of the line, there was this guy with a chef's hat and a knife and a fork.
Okay.
And he was handing out sliced beef. He's like, could I have some sliced beef? And some horseradish, and he slices it all for you, and that's the best part right there.
Does he stare you in the eyes as he's carving, slicing into that, licking his lips as he stares at you in the eyes?
If you want to go on YouTube, look for the Old Country Buffet training video for slicers, and the guy in the training video does exactly that.
I think I've seen that actually. Why have I seen that?
And
that wasn't a thing in
don't know. Yeah, I don't know why they put this guy at the end of the line. He should be at the front of the line, because if I have this delicious roast beef and au jus and is that how you pronounce it?
There's nothing wrong with the Jews. Come on.
No,
I know we're talking about Nazis.
Au jus, not au jus.
Oh, okay.
I meant to say au juice and the horseradish sauce. I'll just have this, and you know what? I'm on keto. I'll have some broccoli. This'll do. Give me a little bit extra. Give me a little fat. Delicious. Yes, you want some roast beef, young man? Here you go. There you are. Anyway,
eat my beef. Suck it. Suck the juice out. I'm sorry. Where were we?
Whoa! Crossing the line, sir. Crossing the line. All right, so they find out that this guy, Danigan, also known as Otto Kreitzman, he boarded the ship an hour before it left. So he had a late ticket. And they find out that there's 4 other people that did the same thing that came in after him.
He was listening. He had a cassette tape to help meditate during takeoff. And Kate McGrew, I'm sorry, what? Where were we?
So
what episode are we talking about?
Never mind. Whatever. So they're like, okay, the murderer has to be one of the 4 people who boarded the ship after him, because they were after him because they were looking for the $5 plate. And that is those 4 people are Paul Viscar, and that's the old man's son. He decided that he was going to accompany his disabled father on this trip to go visit his sister. Eleanor Cantrell, who's a nurse. Arthur Bishop, who's a fashion designer. He's the Karen that he absolutely needs to get off the ship. We'll get back to him in a minute. And Nicholas Crane, the suspicious chess player who was seen playing chess with the dead man. Therefore, Robert Vaughn thought he must be, the murderer. Okay?
Right, yeah. Well, we found out that Robert Vaughn is also, they reference him, Lieutenant... the lieutenant calls him meddling or something like that. He's just in the way. He's just annoying. But yeah, so they hone in on Arthur Bishop immediately. He's a fashion designer, quote unquote. Though I'm a little suspicious of his story, to be quite honest at this point. But he has to get off board. As a matter of fact, you see him earlier in the episode. He's trying to get off board with his briefcase. He's got important business to get done, which kind of aligns with what's in that briefcase. We know that there's missing $5 plates or a plate, one of the companion plates. So very, very realistically could be in that briefcase.
But it's a misdirection.
It is a misdirection. He said, one of the things that Christy asks. That, if you're in such a hurry, why didn't you take a plane? Good question. Apparently, he's a he explains himself as a skeptical coward of airplanes. Yeah. He doesn't believe the Wright brothers got it right.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny.
And he's also kind of gay. But maybe I'm just projecting on that because he's a fashion designer. I don't know.
But yeah, and he even threatens, he's like, I've got, if I miss my season, I'm going to sue.
And he walks off in a huff.
Yeah.
So, Lady Austin...
So would he have a case? I want to ask, because we don't normally have the honor of having somebody who's got some legal background that can comment on this. Would he have a case?
No.
Sean?
No, he would not.
Could he sue?
It is a unique situation. Nowadays, he couldn't, because obviously he could email it or whatever. But you know what? I think that there would be other ways to get the documentation from him to whoever it needs to go to. You know, he just would have to be...
Why don't they ask about that? I would say, well, what do you have in the briefcase? That never comes up.
And why didn't he say, could we arrange for my briefcase with my, I guess they're fashion designs, to be delivered to so-and-so? Because you can't telegraph that.
Well, there's obviously phones, because Robert Vaughn is talking to somebody on the phone towards the end. I don't know if phones were commonplace in the 40s on a cruise ship, but...
they're there. They're
he could have communicated, like, hey, look, you can look at my briefcase, but I need to get this off the ship immediately. There's important documents. That could have been done.
Yeah.
Instead of committing suicide.
Yeah, because that's exactly what he does. He wants to get off the ship so badly that he jumps over the rail, and it's a long drop. I think it's probably like a 75-foot drop into that water. That's probably not very long.
I don't know. That looks scary.
Yeah.
I got to applaud the the stunt people that pulled that off.
Yeah.
Because there's no fucking way. I would have broken my neck.
Yeah.
Because when you're falling that high, it's like dropping into a plate of glass.
Yeah. There was this great, creepy documentary called The Bridge about the Golden Gate Bridge and, you know, how many people commit suicide jumping off of it. And these people actually set up a camera crew right by the bridge and shot video footage of people that were actually like pacing back and forth deciding. And I was there earlier this year, and they actually have a sign at the entrance to the bridge that has the suicide prevention hotline on it.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
this man just jumps. It's insane, and I don't know. He lets go of his briefcase. His briefcase, I don't think, is waterproof. I don't think that exists. It's just a completely irrational thing. And then on top of that, and you got to, God bless him. God bless Major McGuire. Because he's like, my God, I have to save this man. And he does the same thing. He tears off his jacket and he jumps in. He makes it. But Arthur Bishop does not make it. And he turns up dead later on. So
and it's funny because, like you said, it was a misdirection. Let's go ahead and just spoil it. He's not the killer. He has nothing to do with the case at all, as far as we know. I know Abigail kind of thinks he does, but we found out later that there's nothing. He has nothing to do with this case at all. So he basically ran off a boat, committed. I don't think he purposely committed suicide, but whatever was in that briefcase was very important. We never find out what was in the briefcase. We never find out why he did what he did. I mean, he even says he's a skeptical person of flying. Like, he does not. He's a skeptical scaredy cat. Why the fuck did he do what he did?
Yeah,
makes no sense.
I wouldn't even jump off a diving board if Tom Daly.
Skeptical coward. He called himself skeptical coward. Why would he do what he did?
If Tom Daly, gold medal award-winning swimmer from England, brought me onto a diving board that was 12 feet up and said, "Hey, if I can push you off this diving board and you land in the water, you can do whatever you want to me." I don't know if I would be able to do it because I'm afraid of heights and I'm afraid of water. I can't. And if you're wondering who Tom Daly is, Google it and you'll understand.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's an important scene, and this is one of those great sets where you're like, did they really film this on a cruise ship? Because this looks great.
Well, I think that's actually at the Queen Mary, because you see the back of the boat and it says Queen Mary.
But that's just an exterior shot. You'll notice that everything is on a set because they never show all four corners of the room that they're in. Sure. But Christy goes and talks to the Viscards, father and son.
Oh, Harry, yeah.
And Harry?
We learn a lot. Yeah. Harry's the father.
Oh, Harry's the father. Okay. Paul's the son.
He's much nicer in this scene than he was where he's arguing with the agent. And I don't know, because he's drinking wine, maybe he's kind of mellowed out a little. Maybe he took a shot of morphine right before. I don't know. Maybe both. A little from column A, a little from column B.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of morphine.
But we find out, the war was not kind to him. I'm using his words there specifically. He lost a son. I think he's handicapped because of whatever happened in the war. Mm-hmm. And he also says that his other son, who's Paul, who's accompanying him, said he learned to be a killer before he learned to be a lover. Mm-hmm. So and that to me raised immediate red flags. He learned to be a killer first. That tells me, okay, he's obviously got a dog in this race. In regards to seeing somebody die who was German, and he's a killer. He has some mysterious background. So that to me made him a primary suspect.
Oh no!
Along with Major Dan.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I figured it out. Okay. Can I reveal who the murderer is? The murderer is, who's the old guy's name again? Henry. I didn't write his name down.
Vesker. Henry Vesker.
Old Mr. Viscard Viscard. Viscard. Yeah. Like Visa card, but without the A. So Paul, the son, says...
Well, he's a banker. Yeah.
Paul, the son, says, yes, we did not have anything to do with Otto Kreutzmann. Ding, 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 ding. I solved it, Steve. I got onto it. I knew it. I knew it. I figured it out before the end. I'm like, it's him.
Very clever.
It's him.
Because he knew the name.
Yeah. And I've seen that in other mysteries. I didn't catch that. Yeah, I've seen that in other mysteries too, where people say something that they shouldn't know unless they were the murderer. I bet you we'll have other Murder, She Wrote episodes where we see that.
That seems to be a popular... Well, that affected in our last episode, Mirror, Mirror, where the son knew about the poison apples.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Visca, like that keyed her in, yeah.
But
yeah, so yeah, we learned that Harry, he's had a bad life, and he's just trying to get away from Europe. He wants to start his life over, and his son Paul is going to help him, I guess, move. So he's not really a rich banker. He doesn't have a daughter that's marrying somewhere in the U.S. He's just trying to start over.
By the way, the actor who plays Paul, very handsome man. He's like you could cut like bread with his jaw. He's played. He was. I didn't write the name of the actor down, but he was in a very popular show that maybe your parents watched back in the '80s called Dynasty. Do you remember that show?
Oh,
yeah.
They didn't watch that, but yeah, I'm aware of it.
Okay,
yeah.
He played Adam Carrington. Anyway.
So Abigail decided that she figured it out. She's talked to Nicholas about some chess game, and she suspects that he has something to do with that.
Yeah, she's focused on the telegraph and that the secret message within, and she figures out that maybe Arthur Bishop.
And the telegraph is important.
Yeah.
And the telegraph is important. Is an important clue, but she takes it at face value.
Mm-hmm. And Nicholas is explaining this famous chess match where a guy beat another guy. What was it? Mate in 7. Check, which basically means checkmate in 7 moves. Okay.
Right.
And there's a clue. And this is when I started to realize, well, first of all, I knew it was Paul, but I thought maybe I could be wrong because maybe it was general knowledge that the dead guy's name was Otto Kreutzmann. But
well, and like I said, I still thought it could have been Dan, because why was he there? Obviously, he had seen some action. He's missing an eye. He's got an eye patch on. We just don't know why he's there. Why this... And he does have some background, which I think Chancellor Robert Vaughn, as you want to reference him, as he does have a kind of a history behind him. We do learn that he is a kind of military police as well. So there's more to his story.
So Christy goes to visit Robert Vaughn in his suite. And when he opens up the door, he knocks on the door, and Robert Vaughn...
Oh, no, hold on. Wait, before you say that, there is actually one part I do want to bring up before we get to that scene. So, Christy does talk to his dad, saying, look, Abigail's solved the case. Let's go and bring everybody into the forward lounge, so we can have this, I guess, explaining of who the killer is.
Yeah, I call it
And the father's like... Oh, go ahead. What do you
call it the classic Agatha Christie drawing room reveal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the father says, "What do you think I look like? Charlie Chan?" Which, by the way, played perfectly by... who was the guy in Murder by Death?
Peter Sellers.
Oh, Peter Sellers. How can I forget that name? Played perfectly by Peter Sellers.
Idiot. Not finished mushroom story. You idiot.
Moose. It's Moose. Sorry. Go ahead.
Good thinking
Great
on
film.
Diamond Head. So
Charlie Chan.
Christy, but
Did you know I used to watch those? I would have never known who Charlie Chan is. My father loves murder mysteries.
Okay.
Agatha Christie is one of his favorite authors. And
I did
he
not
would
know
make me
that.
watch-
I didn't know this.
Yeah. And he would force me to watch with him when I was younger, like, I don't know, about 10 years old. He would make me watch the old Charlie Chan films. And so, I don't know. I guess that's why
I actually wouldn't mind picking some of those up. Some of those stories are... Does your dad watch Murder, She Wrote, or is he too young for that?
No, he's that. Yeah, he that would have been past his time. He watches those now because of this podcast. But
oh, really? He listens to this podcast?
I don't think he listens to the podcast, but he watches Murder, She Wrote because I talk about it with him. So
okay. What about Columbo? Did he like Columbo?
He did not like Columbo back in the day. His some of the issues he had with Columbo, I think he watches it now because of said podcast. But his biggest concern was Columbo knew who everybody was, and he was always a fan of whoever the murderer was, and he found that repetitious, so he didn't like that. But he loves Agatha Christie. He loves Sherlock Holmes. He watches a lot of the. I think there's a show that he loves. It's more recent called Murder in Paradise, which can be watched on BritBox.
Yeah. Wow.
He watches a lot of the new stuff.
Huh.
There's another character he says that he watches. It's a Canadian detective police officer who's very Sherlock Holmes-esque that takes place during World War II. I haven't watched that yet, but he's a big fan of that. Go on.
There is one out of Australia that I saw a couple episodes of that I really enjoyed, and I never went back to it because they took it off of Netflix, called Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. And it was set in the 20s, and they did a really good job. It was a really cool, it was a great costume drama, and she was really cool because she was like this flapper, but she had a lot of attitude. And Nero Wolfe is another one. They brought that to the TV screen a couple of times, but I love those books too. Nero Wolfe, the arrogant, fat detective who enjoys orchids. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh no, so his love of those kind of stories. I remember as a kid he would watch. What was the name of the Masterpiece Theater? I would watch the Sherlock Holmes and the Agatha Christie, Miss Marple's, Poirot. I would watch those with him, and so those, So when I think of Sherlock Holmes, I think of who is the actor with the big nose?
Basil Rathbone.
Basil Rathbone, yeah.
Wait, did Basil Rathbone play him? Or not Masterpiece Theater, it was Mystery, probably. Mystery. Dun, 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 and the lady going, oh, oh, oh. Yeah. And they had the Edward Gorey, like, cartoonish type stuff. And for a while it was hosted
I loved it.
by Vincent Price. And then I think it was Diana Rigg, who was also no longer with us.
That's right.
And I'd be like, wow, this is so cool. It's Vincent Price. And I'd watch it for 10 minutes. And I'd be like, okay, let's watch, the Three Stooges. Because back then, I was into reading mysteries.
What a weird transition. Okay.
Okay, confession, I own
You numbskull!
I own all of the Three Stooges movies on DVD. Like, the entire thing. And I've only watched 5 minutes of it. And I think it may have been a drunk Amazon purchase. Because really, most of the Three Stooges isn't that funny anymore. It's kind of dumb.
Yeah, they didn't age that well.
Yeah.
I mean, I still enjoy it. I'll watch scenes. I still enjoy them. I wasn't the biggest fan as a kid growing up, but they were definitely in reruns. When we had 5 channels on TV, right?
yeah.
When I was a kid, so that was one of the shows that rerun constantly. I have a question for you though. Who was your favorite third stooge?
Oh God, it
Champ,
was
Curly or
Curly Joe. There was like 4 of them.
Curly Joe.
There was one that was like so gay. Was it Curly Joe that was so gay? Stop!
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Stop! Yeah, he was a bigger guy. I think he was after Shemp. My favorite, I always liked Larry. I always thought Mo was an asshole.
Yes! Me too!
I never liked Mo.
I felt bad. I felt bad for Larry. Like, Larry, he's like...
I like Larry. Larry.
Yeah.
Larry was always my favorite. He was always my favorite stooge. But out of the rotating, I guess I started with Shemp. So
yes.
I always liked Shemp over Curly or the
I
others.
agree. I agree. I think Curly was overrated. Did you ever see the Three Stooges movie that came out a few years ago?
Yeah, I saw bits of it. I think it's on YouTube actually for free. Yeah,
it's not very good allegedly, and I'm not gonna invest in that. But I was shocked. Do you know who plays Larry in that?
Oh, it was the guy from what was that TV show?
Will and Grace. It's
Will and Grace.
Yeah,
yes,
it's Sean Hayes from Will and Grace. How somebody is sitting around the table? Who are we going to get to cast Larry? You know, that gay guy from Will and Grace.
I thought he did a good job. I thought he was fine.
Yeah, he's yeah. We'll do that next. The Three Stooges podcast. And didn't they bring back Shemp after Curly died? I don't know. But yeah, I agree. I always thought Mo was an asshole, like a real asshole. There was this one thing where they were carpenters.
Wise guy, huh?
Yeah, they were carpenters, and they were working in this wood shop, and Larry makes something, and he goes over to Mo, and he goes, Mo, look what I finished. And Mo goes, so what you want me to do, kiss you? And Larry goes, well, and Mo just slaps him, which I thought was seriously funny as a kid. Well, what do you want me to do? Kiss you? It kind of reminds me of Chris Rock. What do you want, a cookie? I've never been to jail. What do you want, a cookie? Oh,
well, the actors who played them, there's so much out there. I mean, they were the actors themselves were great. They were very nice, generous. It's funny you the way they talked to their fans, like they were young boys, they were fans, and they would embrace their fans. Unlike kind of modern today, where I think a lot of Hollywood stars kind of rebuke, is that the word I'm looking for? Are just more off-putting. I think the actors who played the Three Stooges were very aware of their fame and loved their fans.
There was a episode of Gilbert Gottfried's podcast where this guy was on. I'm not sure who he was, an author. He figured out the rest home where Mo Howard was staying, and called the rest home. I listened to that
one.
Yeah, and
it was surprised you picked up.
Yeah, and talked to him for like an hour. Like, who does that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sorry. That was when Hollywood was great.
Yeah. That's a huge bunny trail, people. I'm really sorry, but when you talked about...
I'm going to take it in a completely 90-degree angle because let's keep it modern. So speaking of Hollywood, Alec Baldwin, what are your thoughts?
Well, I kind of feel bad for him, and I kind of feel bad for the lady that was shot. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I still don't know what happened, but it does have kind of a Columbo vibe on it, doesn't it? Like
it does. Yes. That's why I wanted to talk about it with you. And I was going to bring it up at the beginning of this podcast, but I forgot.
Alec Baldwin would have made a great Columbo murderer because he can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not incriminating at all. I feel very sorry for him as well. I mean, how horrible would you feel?
Yeah.
I guess we're really drunk now. We're really kind of going off topic, but I really feel horrible for the guy. I mean, I'm not a fan of his.
No, me neither.
But I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Could you imagine thinking you're responsible for the murder of somebody like that? That's just horrible.
I don't know what the circumstances are. Like, did he aim the gun directly at someone's head and pull the trigger? Did he, I don't know. I know that's what happened to Brandon Lee. That's what happened to Brandon Lee. That's how he died.
Yeah.
But, one other pony trail I want to put. You talked about when you were a kid.
Pony.
And there were
pony. What's a pony?
A bunny trail. A bunny trail.
Okay.
Sir, you talked about shows that you watched as a kid. One of them was The Munsters, which I loved as a kid. In retrospect, I watched an episode or two somewhere, and it's not that good, Steve. It's not a good show. I
was never a fan of The Munsters. I liked the Addams Family. I thought that was a better program.
We didn't have the Addams Family in Chicago. They would just have the Munsters. But
you had Bozo the Clown.
Yeah, we had I was on Bozo the Clown twice or three times. We went to Bozo's
you told me
circus.
That.
Didn't get to play the buckets though. Didn't get to play the buckets. So somebody is making a movie of the Munsters. Okay.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah. What the fuck? I want to see this movie so badly. Like, I want to see what he does. Does he do to the Munsters what he did to Halloween? Like, is it going to be like... Of course he casts Sherry Moon Zombie as Lily Munster. Of course. Oh, maybe we should get...
I have no interest in seeing that. I'm sorry. I did not care for the Munsters. Who was the actor who played Herman?
Fred Gwynne.
I liked him as an actor. I thought he was great, especially when he got his ankles slashed in Pet Sematary. But I always liked him as an actor. I thought he was great. But I never really cared for...
Yeah. Car 54, Where Are You? And
I never watched Car 54.
He was in My Cousin Vinny. He was a judge in My Cousin Vinny.
Judge. Yep.
Counsel, just get...
He's great in that.
Oh, Lily! That's my Herman Munster impersonation. Grandpa! Lily! Oh, Lily!
You gotta do that.
And he would smack his lips. I'm going on an airplane. And do you remember they made this movie, Munsters Come Home, and they just recast the whole thing, and it was in color, and it looked like complete shit?
Was that a porn where they come?
No. Okay, I gotta reel this back in. This is just getting crazy.
Just reel it back in.
There is somebody listening to this that just said "fuck this," and they just went on to
It turned it off.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna listen to This American Life now. Fuck this. Okay, so
where were we?
Yeah, the suspects are gathered in the room. Oh wait, no. There's something that happens that I was just like, oh, they always do this. So Christy goes to visit Robert Vaughn in his suite to tell him to come over to the lounge, and
he said. But Robert Vaughn's like, I've solved the case. I know who the killer is.
Yeah.
So now we got two people who have solved the case.
Yeah, actually three people who have solved the case. And when Christy goes into Robert Vaughn's room, he knocks on the door, and Robert Vaughn's like, "It's unlocked." Like, just say, "Come in." You don't have to say it's unlocked. Don't be a douche about it. Or, just...
Well, you gotta let the audience know.
Even the standard Captain Picard, "Come! I always bothered me that he said that. Come. So when Christy enters the suite, he opens the door, and he turns and looks at the plate on the door designating the suite, and it's suite M007. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, checkmate in 7. And then he goes...
Really? You got that?
I got it. The reason I got it was because he turned and looked at it for a second. And I'm like, they're directing us to something. He talks to Robert Vaughn.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Robert Vaughn's like, oh yeah, I solved it too. Let's go. And then Christy looks at the... What do you call that? The barometer on the wall?
The barometer, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's
he
clue
looks
too.
he looks at the weather barometer. Yeah, Robert Vaughn looks at the weather barometer, and I'm like, it's a clue.
That's a clue.
Well, what is it? I didn't know what.
And even though I was I really thought the murderer was Paul Viscard. I'm like, maybe it is Robert Vaughn. Maybe it is. Maybe he did murder Danigan while I was right after he was singing Fantare. Cantare.
So there's a lot of moments where Christy's talking about the killer and what the motive might be, and the scene would cut to Robert Vaughn like looking over his shoulder suspiciously.
Yes,
like, immediate cut. And so it was the episode. Like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that the show was purposely, I knew it was misdirection because it was just too obvious.
It was.
I would have thought,
it was almost like subliminal programming that the director was telling us it was Robert Vaughn through camera play rather than just the script. And I'm like, okay, it's too obvious. It can't be him. They're having him skulking about and being suspicious. But anyway. Yeah.
So Robert Vaughn thinks it's Major Dan is the killer. And he explains, we got to say that throughout the whole episode, Robert Vaughn is sulking around, eavesdropping on people's conversations. He is paying shipmates off for their information, like they overheard something, so he'll pay them $1 or whatever, $5.
He's a douche nozzle. That
Okay, that's a word. Yeah. And so he's kind of. I think he's got kind of the inside track, and he wants to beat Abigail. You get that from the very beginning. He wants to beat her at her own game. He even kind of teases her subtly at the very beginning, like, "Oh, you wrote 50 books," and she's like, "No, it's 55." And he kind of underplays her success a little here and there. Even during her interview skills with Eleanor, he kind of makes fun of her. Mm-hmm. So to him, it's a game. He's got to beat her at this to solve the mystery. And he thinks it's Major Dan, and the reason is that he found out one of the, people that work on the boat said that they entered his room, but his room hadn't been messed. His room didn't need new sheets or anything like that. We find out it was because he was fucking Eleanor. I mean, literally. Yeah. And so he wouldn't need his room. And Abigail's like, "Oh, you stupid idiot." Obviously they are young love, and so he's obviously not the killer. But she feels that the killer is Arthur Bishop, who we can't interview because he's dead.
Yeah, he drowned.
Yeah, he drowned. And for all we know, the plate is at the bottom of the port. So we may never see that. So we can't solve that one way or the other. And so case closed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, of course. And she thinks it's because she's so focused on that thing, and it's about the bishop, and that means chess. It's bishop and all that. But everybody's like, okay, all right, good, let's go. Let's all go home now. Mystery is solved. Mm-hmm. Of course, this is just her. It's not like the detective came up with this. But after this, Christy pulls his dad aside, and he's like, "Dad, I don't remember how this transpires, actually." Yeah, no, he's like, they go to the cabin.
Give me one moment. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, we need to discuss one thing.
Yeah, there's something.
He congratulates Abigail, saying, "Yes, you solved it. Great job." And you find out he's got a soft spot for her, so he wants her to feel she solved the case, when in actuality she got it completely wrong.
Yeah. So he's like, "Dad, give me a second," and they go to Robert Vaughn's cabin, suite, and he's like, "I think I know where the $5 plate is," and he pulls up the carpeting that's underneath the barometer, and boom, there it is. And when they open it up, it's wrapped in paper. All I thought was, is there going to be a golden ticket in there?
I thought it was a chocolate. Funny. I thought it looked like a chocolate bar, but okay.
That's why I was like, "There's going to be a golden ticket in there. They're going to get to go to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory."
I've got the golden ticket.
I got the golden ticket. I've been in bed for 25 years, and now I can dance. La 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 la.
I've got my cocaine pinky nail. Sorry, that was Uncle. That was Grandpa Joe. He had that cocaine nail.
He did have a cocaine. That's how he was able to get out of bed right away. Charlie, when a loaf of bread looks like a banquet, I've got no business taking up cocaine. So yeah, he finds the $5. He shows everybody where the $5 plate is, and then he's like, "Well, who? You know?" And also, Abigail was wrong about who murdered Otto Kreitzman, and actually, it's kind of. Then the murderer comes in and basically confesses. Okay, yes, I
Paul
did.
Viscard. So it was Paul Viscard. Yeah. So
yeah.
We find out. Yeah, he's got some history. He fought in the war. He recognized what's his nuts? I can't.
Otto Kreitzman.
Kreitzman, and decided to board at the last minute with his father, who was on his way to America, and deal justice.
Yeah.
You know. Personal justice.
And he's honorable. He's like, I can't let Mr. Bishop, you know, take the blame.
Why not? He's dead.
Yeah,
he's dead. Why not? I don't understand.
That's kind of what I thought. I'm like, well, you know, maybe he went back to his cabin and he was having some second thoughts. I don't know. Me personally, I'd be like, fuck, I got away from this. Thank you, you stupid old lady. Huh. But
so Arthur died. I guess part of my issue with this episode, by the way, I know we haven't reviewed it yet. Part of my issue is he basically died and was set up for nothing. He committed suicide, and it was outside of his character because I found out he's a coward. He explained himself as being a coward.
It doesn't make any sense. You're right. Like
no,
he didn't commit suicide. He died of accidental drowning.
But for what? I don't understand. Why did he die?
Did he think that he was going to swim?
There was no reason
with his waterproof briefcase and somehow make it to the office.
What the fuck was in that briefcase?
It's so stupid.
Was it a collection of French porn? I mean, what was it that he had that had to get on shore? I don't understand.
Yeah. So okay.
I wish they would explain that. Like, what was his purpose for doing his over-exaggeration? Why was he acting that way? I would have loved a better explanation to that.
Yeah, I agree. That was completely out of left field. I think that the story would have been better if he had lived, and maybe if he had, you know, at the ending, they took him away.
Because they never explain it.
Yeah.
They never explain it. They never explain why he did what he did or what he had that was so important.
Yeah. And but no, they had to kill him. And then, oh, okay, Abigail, you're right. We'll close the case now. Case closed. But Christy.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say they all disembark. We see Captain Steubing, Gopher, and who else? Doc. Waving goodbye to everybody. Dan and Eleanor, they even though he was married and he was fooling around, apparently his wife was fooling around with a lumberjack because they're okay. And they fall in love. It's a happy ending. It's very, very... Actually, the scene where we see Dan and we think it's his wife. It's actually his sister. Mm-hmm. And he turns around and he hugs her, and you see Eleanor kind of in the background kind of fade away, like she's letting him live his life.
That fucking philandering bastard, and we're like, you fucking bastard.
No, she's letting him continue his life with his wife. Well, she assumes it's his wife. It's actually a very emotional scene. I gotta admit, it's nice. I like it.
And his wife, or not his wife, I'm sorry, his sister's there to tell him that his wife divorced him while he was away, which I don't know if you can do legally without a lawyer. Yeah, and so he ends up with the Eleanor. He and Eleanor
at the end. Yeah, they ended up going away, and happy ending for them.
And then wrap it up with Jessica Fletcher saying, well, this was an interesting story, blah, 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 blah. I've got nothing to say. We'll see you next week.
Okay. So I've got in my mind my headcanon of the reality of this episode, because it does take place without Jessica. Excuse me. And so I'm like, why are we watching this? Besides what you just explained at the very beginning, that, that they wanted to do something different. Angela Lansbury maybe was doing some contract negotiation. I don't know. But in my mind, this is not a real story in the, in this series. I think this is J.B. Fletcher. This is a J.B. Fletcher murder mystery that was put to TV.
Okay.
So we've got the author, J.B. Fletcher, talking about a fictional character, and at the end, J.B. or Jessica talks about the story. And I think one of the first giveaways is that we find out, thanks to Jessica, is that Christy never published the news story. Mm-hmm. So this was all never came to be. Mm-hmm. But how did she know? How did Jessica know that the story was false or was never reported? If it was, how would she know about it?
Yeah, because she wasn't around at the time. Well, she was maybe, but yeah.
And I have to admit, I'm drunk, so I'm having a hard time explaining this. But
she never met Lady Austin.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as she knew, Abigail's story was the truth, but obviously it wasn't. She knew Christy's side of the story. So I think this is a story that J.B. Fletcher wrote. This was a novel she wrote. It was made for TV. She did the intro and the outro. And I think Christy McGinn is basically a character that she wrote. That was one of her characters. And I think Christy McGinn is based off her nephew Grady.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna agree with you. I think that's okay. This isn't like your Mrs. Columbo doesn't exist theory. I actually agree with you.
She doesn't.
And I think that they should have framed it as, hey, this is one of my books. It's going to be, I would have preferred that instead of this, parable about an old lady that thought she solved the crime, but she didn't really solve the crime. She just,
right.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I like that theory. I'm going to pack that away for later. I think I am. Okay. Is it reviewing time?
It's reviewing time.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the number I picked, totally fucking random. I'm going to pick the number that Christy spouts out at the very beginning of the episode. So he was unqualified to serve in the military because he was either disabled or unfit.
F4. Yeah, it's called F4.
Is F4, yeah. So what would you review this one out of F4?
Okay.
I'm sorry, 4F.
4F, that's right. 4F. Yeah. I didn't want to watch this. I'm like, oh, this is one of those. This is homework. And at first, the way it started out, I'm like, okay, whatever. But, and I have to confess that that's because I spent a lot of time writing down the names of all the characters so we could talk about it on the podcast coherently, if you want to call this coherent. I thought this was pretty damn good. I really enjoyed this as sort of as a mystery. It's a really good story. And I'm not just saying that because I solved it, but you've got your cast of characters. You've even got your literal list of suspects, 4 suspects that Robert Vaughn is given. And, it's like, okay, no, you can't just have a list of suspects. This isn't Clue. It's not going to be one of those 4 people. Turns out it is. Because those are the 4 people that boarded the ship after the victim did. So I really like this. So I'm going to give this. The only thing that, and I think you're going to agree with me, we've already talked about it, is about how Bishop jumps off the boat. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's dumb.
Why would he kill himself?
Yeah. So I'm going to give this 3.5 or 3.5F out of 4F. I really like this. This was really good. This is one of my favorite ones that we've watched so far. And I was kind of like, well, Jessica isn't in. I'm not going to like it. But no, it warped me over. And who's the actor? I didn't write his name down. Oh, no, it's Gary Kroger, who plays Christy McGinn, is excellent. He's very he's very charismatic. Kind of cute. I mean, he was in that one Columbo episode we saw. I think he was a writer on Saturday Night Live at one point. And if you look at these characters, they're all well cast. There's no overacting, with the possible exception of Mr. Bishop. And it feels like a real, actual show with a budget set in 1947. And it just clicks. It pops. It works. But on the other hand, I have to think about people in 1989. Okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch Jessica Fletcher. What the fuck is this? I don't know. What's this going on? What's this?
Where's Jessica?
Where's Jessica? What the fuck? Is she coming back?
Seth?
This is 1940. Oh my God. I could understand that feeling. But I can't review it with that in mind. I have to be a little bit more objective.
This is a weird one.
Yeah,
it's a weird one, and there's definitely. I mean, the more we talk about it, I didn't really piece it together initially, but this is very much a Agatha Christie type murder mystery. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a scene. Well, the person who solves the case, Christy. At the beginning I said, is this the Christy and McGinn confab podcast, because he is the main character. Mm-hmm. We kind of introduced to Lady Abigail, and that's the first thing Jessica talks about. But she's a minor character in this, really. But we have Christy as the main detective. We have a scene where his father, Lieutenant McGinn, says, when they've got the list of people who boarded, 4 people who boarded after the deceased, he says, "Oh, then there were 2." Well, I mean, that's obvious. That's obviously a Agatha Christie reference.
Yeah.
And again, it's bizarre. I agree with you. It's a great episode to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just bizarre because it has very little to do with Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, and I'm kind of cool. I'm more cool with that than watching like No Time to Die in Columbo or Undercover, which really annoyed me because Columbo has a certain
those
format.
Are so odd.
But this is still a whodunit. It's still a mystery in the same vein that Agatha Christie
is. But it's an Agatha Christie murder.
Yeah,
but it's not a Murder, She Wrote episode.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, what's interesting is I would have a lot of fun sitting down and taking the script that was written for the Ellery Queen show and making it set in 1989 where, Jessica goes on a cruise, which I'm not sure, but I'll bet you there is a fucking episode where Jessica goes on a cruise and someone gets murdered.
There's got to be.
Yeah. Jessica goes camping, someone gets murdered. Jessica goes, to the New Mexico Balloon Festival. Everywhere the woman goes, someone gets murdered. But they could have done that. They could have done, okay, we'll make it in 1989, and or we'll modernize it because we don't want to spend the budget on fancy costumes and set pieces, and we'll just make it in 1989. They could have done that, and it wouldn't. It's great. It's a great looking piece of television. It's almost cinematic. And I say almost because, if it had been done on whatever film stock film was done in 1989, it doesn't. It's obviously a TV show, but the set pieces and the costume design are great. It's very enjoyable. But it's like, well, how do you rate it? And I feel like we should be rating this compared to other Murder, She Wrote episodes. No, I don't want to do that. I didn't do that.
Yeah. No, you didn't. No. But you want to do that. I mean, my impression is, where would we rate this in the grand scheme of Murder, She Wrote episodes? I can't do that tonight. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like you, I was not suspicious. I was not really sure how to do this because, again, it's not a J.B. Fletcher centric episode. But again, it was good. It was well written. The characters were enjoyable. I loved it had a very obvious beginning, middle, and end. All were very enjoyable. Robert Vaughn, I thought, was great. Loved the misdirection with him because he looks like a villain. I mean, honestly, that's why he's in Columbo.
It's almost as if I don't even. Did he just think to himself, well, I haven't seen that much. The only things that I've seen Robert Vaughn in are Columbo and the Towering Inferno. Okay. And I don't know if it's just Robert Vaughn being Robert Vaughn, but I could swear that he's just, what was his name? Robert Hayden or something like that in Troubled Waters. I could swear he's like, you know what? I'm going to do this the same way I did that character in Columbo because he's the exact same guy. I swear to God. Yeah.
That's probably Robert Vaughn playing himself.
Yeah.
But I out of 4F, you gave it a 3.5F. I can give it a 4B.
Really?
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. In the grand scheme of things, not a Murder, She Wrote. I do not consider this a Murder, She Wrote episode, but still, it was enjoyable. I quite liked it.
Now, what would you think, and this wasn't the plan for this particular episode, but would you watch a show where it's basically an Ellery Queen ripoff of Christy McGinn going off and solving mysteries with his father? Would you watch that?
I think I would.
Okay.
If I were going to base it off this one episode. And I kind of got the impression that this was a spin-off series.
No.
Like you could have been?
Yeah.
You don't think so? No?
No, they've done that with other... Like I said, it was a script that was written back in the 70s for the Ellery Queen show. And they just found it, blew the dust off of it, and said, hey, let's make this... since Angela doesn't want to work that much, we can film this script. And it's a period piece, too. And I would love...
Angela probably put in 10 minutes for this episode.
Yeah, she's like, okay, I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to listen to my soundtrack of Auntie Mame, and drink some red wine, do some gardening, and then go to bed. And but I am curious. I'd love to be the fly in the wall for the production meetings for this, because I can't see the producers of the network being very keen on suddenly spending money on what is basically a period piece for Murder, She Wrote. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then again, this was it was CBS. This was their fucking cash cow at the time. I mean, this was like their number one
NBC.
show. Yeah, NBC? It was NBC?
Pretty sure.
I'll take your word for it. All I know is it was on after 60 Minutes, and I thought 60 Minutes was CBS, but. This was the shit.
Eyebrows. Why? Go on. Sorry.
This was the shit back then. So maybe I could see them doing that. I mean, they could afford to hire June Havoc. I didn't remember the lady who plays Lady Abigail, and Robert Vaughn. But wow, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. Very pleased.
Yeah. Recommended. All right, so. Are we ready to find out what next episode will be?
Yeah, let me just pull up the spreadsheet. Oh, I mean, the wheel.
The wheel?
Yeah, and let's see. There's lots of interesting titles in this season.
Season 7? Yeah.
No, this is season... Yeah, season 7.
Right.
Okay. And hold on, let me get the wheel aligned here. Okay, here we go. All right. So, Steve, I want you to spin the wheel now. Okay. The wheel doesn't like middling numbers. It usually goes to the beginning or the end of the season. And
I've noticed this. Yes.
Yeah, it went to the beginning of the season. And so we're going to watch... Oh, I see. We're going to watch an episode called Hannigan's Wake, which is the 4th episode of season 7. And I'm not sure, but I think that this might be set in Ireland. Jessica goes on vacation to Ireland, and whoa,
Jesus, okay.
Somebody didn't have some lucky charms. So I know there's a couple episodes that are set in Ireland because, what are you going to have her go to? Zimbabwe? Jessica goes to Zimbabwe?
Or, oh, God forbid, we actually have it in Cabot Cove. God, one episode so far has taken place in Cabot Cove.
Like I said, only 4 or 5 episodes per season actually take place in Cabot Cove. Okay, so this one, of course, my phone works fine. No, that's not it. It is not set in Ireland. Let's see, we've got, I want to see who's in this. Van Johnson is in it. I know him. Guy Stockwell, I know that name. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., that's somebody, right? I know that name. So, yeah, it says, Jessica reopens a 16-year-old murder case at the urging of a dying author who felt injustice was done. And the picture on IMDb is that they look like they're at a wake, so thus Hannigan's Wake. So we'll see. I'll go with it. That's fine. Okay.
Good. All right, Sean, until next time.
Say goodnight, Steve.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Adios. Thank you for listening to the Cabot Cove Confab. If you've enjoyed it, please leave us a favorable review on Apple Podcasts. Also, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Cabot Cove Confab or email us at cabotcoveconfab@gmail.com.